You hang a lot of shit on yourself, which is good. Yeah. You tease yourself.
Well, it makes for a more interesting documentary.
Yeah, they're very funny. It's very funny moments. You know, I hope the Chicago guys are all right. I'm amazed you even got them to sit down.
We'll talk about that during the interview.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's great. David Foster, how are you, sir?
Excellent, thanks. It's a little early here for me. I've been up doing some interviews this morning because it's a big day for me. Netflix has got that magic, you know, it's kind of like being on big time radio.
It is. Now, this documentary, you know what I was fascinated by? You were cocky, you were brash, and you were a know-it-all when you first went to Hollywood. And I'm like, how are you all those things and then actually made it? How does that work?
Kind of in reverse, right? Because you should be humble when you're starting out, and then you grow into being arrogant, right? And I'm probably still a little bit arrogant, but I sort of started hard. And then as the success came, I lightened up on myself, which made me sort of a easier person to deal with.
Did you have to bluff?
Being arrogant?
Yeah, bluff your career. Or were you picking up things as you were going along?
No, I mean, I fortunately had been I'd had a hit record in a band in 1973. So I knew what that felt like as a sort of an artist, as part of a band. And then the group broke up. I had played a lot of gigs. I played for the Rocky Horror Show for a year and met a lot of great musicians and a lot of stars, because all of Hollywood came out to see the Rocky Horror Show. And then I was a studio musician for 3 or 4 years, and I got to learn from all the producers on the other side of the glass. And I always used to say that I learned more from the bad ones than I did from the good ones. So by the time I decided to be a record producer in 1978, 1979, I was pretty well equipped, even though my first 3 albums were failures. But I still was, I was sort of on my way.
Is that, when you're making a documentary like this and you have to be the subject as opposed to directing the director, how do you go about putting everything in there, laying your soul sort of bare?
Well, Barry Average, the director, was really good, and I looked at a couple of his documentaries and knew what a great filmmaker he was. And I decided to play by the rules. You have 2 choices. You can be a pain in the ass and go, take that out. These are the rules. Or you could just go, you make the film through your eyes and I won't say anything. And I did it. I never asked him to take anything out. There's some twitchy moments. In fact, I suggested that he interview Chicago because, as we talked before we started the interview, I took them down a path that they didn't want to go, even though we were hugely successful. And I get it. All these years later, I get it. I didn't get it then, because I forced myself on them. I made my records with, using them rather than making Chicago records.
Is this like an olive branch? Like, could this be an olive branch to Chicago that they're actually in this documentary talking about?
Look, I was disappointed that they didn't rag on me more. I mean, they in fact, Barry told me that when they sat down, it was like a love letter to me. And like Barry was going, come on, guys, I've got your liner notes right here. It said right here in the letter, you say that he's the devil incarnate. Let's have some of that. And so they gave up a little, but over the years, things have mellowed, and all those songs that I did with them, we had about 6 hits together. They're the mainstay of, not the mainstay, but they're a big part of their concerts.
Now, you're a self-proclaimed, in this documentary, self-proclaimed egomaniac, which I find fascinating because you've given starts to so many incredible artists when they were nobodies. I mean, that doesn't work together, an egomaniac and breaking artists.
I think I have a healthy ego. Maybe if I said that I'm an egomaniac, I don't know. That's for others to decide. I have a healthy ego. I mean, you can't. Let me just see if I can turn this around here. Now you're going to see all the warts of here. There's my little studio. But do you see those?
Yeah, you have a lot of Grammys behind you.
So you can't. That was really a dumb thing to do. But you can't have that and not know that you're good.
But then how do you go out? How do you go about finding Celine Dion? I mean, that takes a leap of faith, because what if she breaks under the pressure as you're in the studio?
Um, in the case of Celine, when you think about it, I haven't really discovered that many artists. Celine was already a star in Quebec when I stumbled upon her, and my then engineer at the time and sometimes co-producer, Umberto Katika, he was the one that, as well, was going like, this girl is amazing. We heard a little tape. He said, you've got to go see her. And I said, really? He said, yeah, you got to go see her. So I didn't discover her. She was already a star in Quebec. Bublé, yes, I did find him at a wedding, and it was amazing. I was like, the whole world stopped, and there he was.
And Groban, I mean, you headlocked him as a 17-year-old.
Yeah. I think I've used this term now on other people. I willed him to be a star. I willed it. Every single thing I did every day, I manipulated whoever I was around to take a shot on him, put him on a TV show, put him on a commercial, do this, do that. The record company, I willed it. Now I call it grobaning somebody. I grobaned him. Yeah, I mean,
so someone should be lucky if they get grobaned by you.
Well, I became obsessed because I knew it wasn't mainstream, and the record company, nobody was really believing it. Right, this kid with a sort of operatic voice. I said, no, I'm telling you. And in fact, I argued with the record company. I said, you've got to put this album out now, before Christmas. No, we're putting it out in February. Now, you've got to put it out now. I said, we'll sell 50,000 albums the first week if you put it out now. And they were like, come on. And we did.
Do you see yourself as some kind of like a sports coach, this want for perfection, to the extent that you actually teased Celine Dion during the recording of that album for the first time with you guys? It kind of hurt her feelings that we see in the documentary.
I did hurt her feelings. I really did. And I didn't mean to. It was just that aggressive ambush humor that I use. When I said, like, hey, if you can't get this note, Whitney's down the hall, she'll do it for us. And Whitney was down the hall. Of course, she wouldn't have done the note for us, but it was just humor, I mean,
your humor's got you in a bit of trouble over the years.
It certainly has, Brad.
You're used to the cameras. Of course, we saw Princes of Malibu. Then I love the bit about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You were ahead of your time in the reality television game, weren't you?
We were before the Kardashians, and yeah, we were. We just didn't do it quite right, I guess. And when I say we, it was my stepsons who really, ran with it, and I just sort of played along with it. I don't regret it.
No, it's good. So I actually had a party in your recording studio when you were away for the Princes of Malibu.
Well, but I wasn't there, of course.
No. Have you ever drank a beer out of your own Grammys?
No.
Right.
My stepkids have, right?
Yeah. I think I might have drank out of one too. I'm sorry.
That was quite a studio and property, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable, and the train that went up the mountain.
Yeah.
But in final words, Scott Shannon. I work with Scott on CBS FM. Can you remember the first time you met Scott?
I don't remember the first time, but all I remember is that he was, and still is, bigger than life. He is just this iconic, bigger than life character who's been doing it for so long, so recognizable, his voice. And he and I have a mutual friend that we've had for 30 years in our life. So I hear about him from my friend, and he probably hears about me from our friend too.
Well, he's still going well. He's killing it on radio still. So
killing it. Yeah, I mean, think about that career. Yeah. How do you transcend generations like that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, mate, you're a champion, top bloke. Good to see you. You look very relaxed, and I think there's a good story in this about longevity. Yeah, you might just live to 100, mate.
Hey, man, I'd take that. I'd sign up for that like today. Sure.
All right, thanks, David.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Look, I should get advice from you. Any advice for people out there in the world that want to be musicians?
Well, yes, I do. You ready? If you ever have to ask anyone, how do I become a record producer? You'll never be one. You don't ask, you just do it.
Do it. All right. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.